Hello everyone. This is Arabis sanguinum amor. It's a flowering currant. My wife went off this last weekend. Was a Mothering Sunday here in the UK, and my wife went off with her mum and her sister for lunch, and they went off to the garden centre. When my wife came home, she presented me with this and said, do you think you could bonsai this? Will you give it a go? So foolishly I said yes. And so here we are. It's going to have to be some kind of clump style tree, and at the moment I'm thinking that this would make a good front. But I need to get down and get it out of this compost so that I can have a proper look at the root ball, and we'll see where we go from there. So back in a second or two. Okay, so here we are, trees out of the pot. Quite a few roots, but not entirely root bound. So let's start off trying to find the base of the trunks, as it were. Some thick roots in here. Just teasing away. Trying to find the base. Yes. This might actually be two plants. Not sure yet, but it feels definitely like it's two plants, not one. So I may still keep it as a little clump style with little through chunks. Very claggy, this soil. It's coming off. Yes, it is. It is in fact two plants. Oh. Now I need to make a decision. I don't know, I think no, I don't know what I think. Indecision. I really quite liked it as the clump of three, but I'm now considering the possibility of just doing a twin trunk bonsai with this piece, and just planting the other one in the garden or in a pot. Just as a shrub, just because of its being purely decorative. This hasn't really got a huge lot going for it. It could be something in a few years. I think it could be something next year if I put it in a nice, decent sized pot. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that back in the pot, repot that up, and that'll become a little shrub, possibly in the front garden. And yeah, so that means I'm going to bonsai this one. to be a bit of a challenge possibly, but I already have some black currant, eating black currant trees as bonsai, and they work rather well, so I think this can work. It's just going to be, can I get this one into a training pot? Get it on the road to being a bonsai reasonably quickly, and I think the answer to that is if I can get rid of this big chunk of root here, yes. Okay, so it is a big chunk of root. And it's going to have to go if this is ever going to get to be a bonsai. May look a little brutal, but just like when you prune the top of a tree, you'll get extra branches and shoots thrown out from the end of the branch you've pruned. So too you will the roots. Okay, so that's given me an interesting conundrum. I'm going to have to remove some larger parts from the top of the tree to get it into balance. And it's going to be, I think we're going to plant it at that angle initially. Could go with it at this angle and have this root exposed. No, we'll go with this angle and have the root exposed to begin with, I believe is my preferred option. So let me get this lot out of your way, and we can start getting it into the training pot. Okay, so that's back into that pot, and move that to one side. And this is the, I don't have a nice bonsai pot to put this in straight away. I'll have to put that on my wish list for Christmas or something. But I'm going to put this into this half seed tray as a training pot. So yeah, give you a general idea of how that will look. But before I do that, I just want to use this lower branch. I'm going with this as my front, which means I don't want no, I'm going with this as my front, and so I don't want this branch, which the Japanese would call an eye pokey branch, because it's coming straight out the front of the trunk, straight at you. So I'm just going to lose that, and I need to make a decision about whether I keep this branch coming straight up here and lose this one, keep this as the trunk, or lose this one. And I think I'm going to lose that whole piece just there. Allowing that to be a trunk. Okay, so let's get this tree into some soil, and then we can work on it at a bit more leisurely pace. In with some soil. always, I'm going to put in some slow release fertilizer at the bottom, so when the roots get down there they've got something to feed on. Okay. Now, a lot of the books say you need to wire a tree into place, but I find that's not always necessary unless the tree is particularly top heavy. Or you're in a particularly windy space. If in doubt, I would say to you, wire your trees in. Generally speaking, I don't tend to bother. I find it can be more of a nuisance than a blessing. So I'm just making sure that the soil gets down between the roots and that the roots are spread nicely round the trunk. And that the flinches contact between root and soil. Let's pop that. What you don't want is air pockets. Now it's just a question of teasing these roots to lay flat. What you can do, if necessary, is even go so far as to put a stone or even half a house brick onto your tree, onto the surface of the soil, and that will hold the roots flat until they grow in and secure themselves into the soil. Okay, now that it's not quite central in the pot, and that's deliberate, because too much symmetry looks artificial and unnatural. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm going to give this a good soaking, and then we'll come back and trim up the top some more. Okay, so giving it a good drink and give you a bit of a spin around. As you can see, it's coming towards the front a little bit, which is good, but I want to lose this piece that's again coming right towards the front. I've changed the planting position slightly, so that this first trunk is slightly in front of the back trunk. I think that gives a bit of composition, but we need to lose that branch, and I don't like this branch coming straight up here either. I'm going to lose that. Let's tidy that cut up, make it a bit flush. Okay. And I'm going to shorten this and this to an outward facing bud, and likewise here. And here. Here. Again going to an outward bud, in hopes that we'll throw a few more shoots out backwards. But part of the tradition of bonsai, if you're not aware, is to have the tree bow towards you. So again, this piece I don't like, it's too long and too straight, so that's got to go. And I'm going to shorten this one and this one, and indeed this one. Okay, Okay, so that gives us the basis of a small bonsai. I'm going to open up this section by removing this branch just to keep the open centre. It's perfect timing, the sun is coming out. Okay, and then I have a branch here that I think would look nicer if I brought it round to there. So I'm going to get a piece of wire and wire that into position. Bear with me a second while I find a piece of wire. Okay, so I've wrapped a couple of wire turns around the main trunk, and then I'm just going to very carefully try not to catch foliage too much. Wrap this branch. This is something with this species you can only do when they're very thin branches, because the wood is very brittle otherwise. Once it gets any thickness to it at all, the wood can be very brittle. So there we go, and then it's just a question of moving it where I want it. I'll give it a little bit of movement, and that fills in that little gap just there. And so there we have its first days as a bonsai. It seems a shame, but I am going to take most of the flower off before it tries to set seed, because I want it to use what energy it's got to start filling this pot with roots and putting out some growth, not trying to put on too much in the way of seed. As always, I always go back and I see something else. I'm not sure about this branch. It's one of these branches has to go, and I fear it has to be this one. I'm not going to take it all the way back, just to there. There's a shoot here which hopefully might come up and fill in. Or I could move that one down, but I didn't like the two branches parallel. And this is where I guess the art comes into bonsai, but I'm going to take it back a notch further, because this isn't about the horticultural principle, and often the decision is made with the horticultural principle in mind, but sometimes it's about the aesthetics. I think I'm going to put one more piece of wire on. Hopefully I can do that now before the rain comes. It's suddenly got very dark here. In fact, here comes the rain, but I'm going to put a piece of wire on anyway. So, hold it, wrap it loosely round the branch. And then I can just gently move that into place, put a bit of curve, and there we have it. I may put a sizable stone just on the back there, just to keep it still. But that's my Ribes bonsai first days. Obviously, hopefully I'll be able to fill the canopy out, get some back branching going on, and it'll fill out nicely into a nice looking tree. thank you for watching, and as always, take care of yourselves. It's about to pour down with rain here, so I'm going to get in out of it. Take care.